Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. Big day today. Big day the last few days with a bunch of spoilers coming out and culminating in Article 2, Section 8 from our fine overlords at Steamforged Games. So I figured I'd jump on and give you my thoughts on the article, run through some of these changes a little bit, and just talk about where I think the game is at in general. So, very exciting stuff, as they say, on the whole. All right, jumping into the article. Lot of big spoilers here, which is always great to see. So the first things first, for those that are unaware, I did one of these previously when the first article dropped. This is the second article reaction. There have been a bunch of additional spoilers across various podcast and YouTube channels, so please go check all of those out. But these are some additional spoilers that have come out through the article today from Steamforged Games. So we're going to be talking about that. I will have no new information for you other than my own thoughts. That out of the way. Gravediggers is getting some massive updates. Not listed here, but was listed on the forum the other day by one Mr. Jamie Perkins, is that the Gravediggers are going to get access to be able to take the Bomber and Sky Raider Merc battleships. Merc... Merc battle engines as part of their army. No additional special rules for them, but they do get a 1 cost point reduction for Gravediggers only. Because, Gravediggers dropping in from the air, having an airship kind of makes a ton of sense. A little bit of a flavor fail when it wasn't there on initial release. So excited to see that come in to the fray. Gravediggers, in the article, they kind of go into it a bit, is that Gravediggers had a generally accepted win rate. However, they felt that the play experience, both for the player and the person that they were playing against, was not where they wanted it. So some big global changes effectively break down to many of the long-range guns have been reduced. Again, as part of have had their ranges reduced to decrease early game lethality. And to compensate, the army is going to get some additional hitting power. Big ways that these are essentially facilitated is the airdrops themselves. Airdrops are being updated. All of the crates are now inconsequential, meaning they cannot score and they cannot contest. The fuel canister has probably the largest change here. One of the largest changes here, which is the fuel canister now grants +2 speed instead of an advance. A pretty major change, pretty major nerf for how the fuel canister works in terms of providing additional movement. Still provides additional movement in the form of the +2 speed, but the +2 advance really lets you get some odd angles, really opened up some awkward lines of play, and now it's just a flat +2 speed when you utilize the fuel canister. They do get a new ability as well called Augment, and that allows you to take 1 damage on the fuel canister to give a construct +2 to its melee damage roll, which is pretty excellent. The ammo crate goes through a major update. Ammo crate will no longer extend ranges. It will extend. Instead, it will only increase the POW of ranged attacks. The health goes up to 8. So you're going to be able to utilize it more, get more kicks at the can with it, but you're not getting the range extension that you were previously. The med crate now has the ability to return any non-character friendly faction Model 2 unit. So all the weapon attachments and such that were getting picked off that you couldn't bring back, now you can. Because it is any non-character model in that unit, which is a pretty big update. And then the heavy weapons crate is going to see all of the weapons options on it reduced by 2 inches of range. So again, in keeping with our lethality update and trying to reduce the general ranged menace that is Gravediggers, they're reducing the range there. Alistair Kane gets a really fun rework for those fans of Kane 2. Everybody has started to call this guy Kane 2.5 for a couple of obvious reasons that we'll go over immediately. The Spellstorm pistols reload now becomes infinite. So as long as you have focus, you can buy as many pistol shots as you want, provided you have the focus to do so. He gains a passive ability called Gate Crasher, which allows him to teleport 5 inches after destroying an enemy model. Just an innate ability he has, not a spell. As part of that, teleport is being removed from his card. His feat is going to gain +1 range damage for each hit. Destroyed enemies explode. Yep, I'm sorry. Cumulative +1 range damage for after each hit. Destroyed enemies explode for POW 10 blast damage. On the spell side, again, he loses teleport because he now gets the Gate Crash ability. He gains blur, so he gains a bit of the defensive tech. He gains magic bullet and mage sight. Really, really strong. The Ranger gunners are going to gain lone gunman, so they are not going to be able to participate in any CRA games. It was fun while it lasted, kids, but now we are back to your standard program. I am fairly certain that is not the last time we'll see that. Just using my thinking brain and how the game is evolving from a lethality standpoint. The Mantlet now grants +3 armor against ranged attacks, up from +2. Tracer rounds, now a passive benefit on the machine gunner. He is going to get his first shot is going to ignore stealth, and it is going to apply flares, and it does not cost an initial, instead of it costing all the initial attacks. So no longer a star action, just a passive thing that occurs on the first shot. You get to ignore stealth and you get to apply flare, which will interact, of course, with the update that we saw the other day on Gravediggers from our friends over at Dice Down Gaming. Shout out to Aaron, also a fine YouTuber, who got all of the wonderful spoilers for the field guns, and the field gun getting to take an additional shot on a flared target once per turn. So this allows you to interact with that in a way that is most satisfying. Moving on to our friends in Dusk House Callus, and we'll put it on the picture because it's so pretty. It's one of my favorite warcasters in the entire game. It is Seraphel. Seraphel gets to overcome her identity crisis a bit, and really finds a lane for herself this go around. Again, her feat is going to be simplified to just deal damage, POW 10, and push enemies D3 every time they trigger it. So anytime you advance towards Seraphel, you get to go ahead and take a POW 10 and then get pushed D3. So a lot of fun things there. A huge field marshal that she gains herself, which is Sanguine Fate. You get to roll an additional die, and if that die matches another die, the hit is considered critical. Now, this does not add to your total, but this additional die, or this extra die, basically just improves your crit chances. Really, really fun ability on a model that has a crit decap spray. Now, that crit decap spray is being reduced from 10 inches to 8 inches on her Storm of Blades, but again, that's in line with the lethality reductions that we've been expecting and the treatment that they're doing on sprays in general. From a spell side, she's going to gain Force Blast and Polarity Shield. Arcane Propulsion is now being reworked to work on huge-based models. So shout out to Convergence of Cirrus as well, as they have this spell. They will also be able to use their Arcane Propulsion on big, giant robots as well. Onward to Moraine. Moraine is gaining Resourceful. She is getting the spells Mirage and Revive. And she is gaining Pursuit, which is an excellent spell. As a Pursuit really does open up quite a few things for Moraine, along with the rest of her kit. Mirage is sort of a native home for her, makes a ton of sense, and Revive is a really nice tool piece in an army that is going to utilize which traditionally has utilized its infantry very well. Mage Hunter Rangers are getting a reduction on to mat 5, and they are going to cost 6. So if you read that carefully, they are staying at rat 7, which is excellent for them, in keeping with Dusk really having some phenomenal shooting. The Mage Hunter Assassins have gained Weapon Master. They have had a reduction to POW 8, and they have gone to cost 7 from cost 6. So a little bit of a cost increase, a little bit of a POW reduction. However, they are gaining Weapon Master. The Phantasm is going to base defense is going to 10. Part of that is because you now have the ability to put Arcane Propulsion on it, and as such, they wanted to have the top out on the Colossal's defense be 13. Because of the new general lethality reductions, they did not want a Def 14 Phantasm running around the board causing all kinds of trouble. Additionally, to all my Dusk friends, globally, Battle Lust has been removed from Dusk House Callus. It is no longer in the faction. With the removal of the rack, there has been the decision to also remove Battle Lust from the faction as a whole. There was not a place where they felt it was going to work on a caster and provide the army what they wanted to do globally. It is one of those warping spells, and I think the design decision is absolutely correct to Yep, Dan, just mostly started. We just went through Gravediggers, and then we just hit on Dusk. We're talking about Battle Lust, and why it is such a warping spell from a design standpoint that it makes a ton of sense with the way that Spell Rack is being removed, that they are also not finding a permanent home for Battle Lust in Dusk anymore. Instead, making some changes to the units as they see fit and rounding out the faction. As much fun as Battle Lust was, and we all abused it, it is a warping spell that limits the faction and the faction design going forward. Or the not the faction limits the army's design and the design going forward. So I appreciate the fact that they have removed that bit from it. All right, onward to Khador Winter Corps. Winter Corps is really a big winner this update season. They have so many good little touches upcoming, and it really starts with the Warjacks. And they've taken great pains to kind of ensure that those roles that these Warjacks are designed for are really understood and that they're supported. So the Direwolf is as they say in the article, is about as close to a light as Khador will ever get. Khador is not a light faction. It is not a light people. And as such, they are all heavies all the time, but the Direwolf is about as close as you can get to it. So a couple of things on the Direwolf. Base, the rat's been reduced to 4. And the defense has been reduced to 10. I say all that to then say this. For the heads, all of the head options have been reduced by a point. So already off to an amazing start. A few of the heads have been reworked. Now, instead of a Pathfinder head, you have one that grants righteous vengeance. And you have a +1 rat head. So you can get back to rat 5. The arms. So many good things on the arm changes for the Direwolf. First off, the heavy chain gun is getting reduced to 5 points. He is removing volume fire and gaining volley fire. The Flame Burst Fist is now going to grant fire resistance and is going to cause flare. And the Plow Shield is being increased to 5 points because armor is really good post-lethality update. Stats matter again, and you're going to have to pay for them. The Great Bear. Great Bear has had its mat reduced from 7 to 6. The Mage Static Head has had a major change, which is the Mage Static Head now grants Magic Ward, and Magic Ward gives a 6-inch bubble of magic resistance, which is when you are targeted by a magic attack or an arcane attack, the attacker has to roll an additional die and discard the highest. So essentially, magic signs importance, magic star-crossed against arcane attacks. Pretty phenomenal ability. First saw this on Lysisis, and now we are seeing it on the Great Bear. For the Great Bear, additionally, arms, all of the right arms have been reduced by 1. The heavy cannon has been reduced by 2. The grinder has had its range reduced from 10 to 8. The big one, Captain Ekaterina Baranova, has had her arc increased to 8 and her control increased to 16. So we have a very legitimate control caster now in the form of Baronova. The additional 2 inches on her control matters immensely. It increases the surface area of her feet by an absolute metric ton, and just makes that controlling nature of it so much more to have to deal with. She additionally gains the spells Tempest, Veil of Mists, and Occultation. Really cool spell kit here for her. Veil of Mist in particular allows you to do some really nasty things in terms of getting Great Bears where they need to go, helping your army maneuver, providing a bit of cover, even a potential cloud wall between Veil of Mists and Davian Krovnik casting Blizzard, somewhere to go ahead and block you off and box you out. Occultation is a very cheeky spell with Baronova, and Tempest with Baronova is exactly where you want it to be. She is a cast 8. She can give you a boosted one of these when you need it and still be on a 2 camp. She still has Gallows. She still has one of the best feats in the game that just got better because her control range has gone up 2 inches. Yeah, Baronova is ridiculous. I am very, very excited for Winter Corps and very not excited to play into them. My super early hot take is Winter Corps is going to end up being one of the best factions based on all of the changes that we've been seeing. All of their casters look absolutely amazing, and I look forward to having to play against a lot more red next year. Orgoth Sea Raiders. Sea Raiders see quite a few little changes in this article. We have the Garlgast, whose base rat has been reduced down to 4 from 5. The Spiderhead is now going to grant an additional rat. The Frotherhead is going to grant aggressive, so free charging with the Frotherhead. From a weapon standpoint, the rocket pods are going to a straight rate of fire 2. It loses the reload, so just a straight buff there. The Infernus cannons are going to go from a range 12 spray to a 10 spray. They are not going to be a spray, they're going to be an AoE now. POW 12 with a blast damage of 7, and they are going to cost 5. Pain Madden is now a base rule on the model. So the Garlgast is going to go up a little bit in cost. It's going to go from 26 to 28 because of the 2 Infernus cannons going up a point. But you've got the rocket pods going to rate of fire 2. You've got a Spiderhead granting additional +1 rat. Or you have the Frotherhead giving aggressive, and Pain Madden is just an everyday ability on the Garlgast. So I think his value goes up a little bit. Utility goes up quite a bit. Be interested to see how people utilize him and build him out. But we have the true queen of Orgoth now in Sabreth. Sabreth's feat is changing. Her spells are again going to be cast for free, but the feat is also going to grant friendly faction warrior models +2 speed on the charge. So she gets to support infantry quite a bit better than she has in the past with this portion of her feat. Additionally, she is going to gain the spells Inviolable Resolve, Hex Blast, Death March, and Ghost Walk. So again, continuing the infantry support with Ghost Walk and Death March. She retains Perdition to also support her cohort. She has the Hex Blast, she has Death March to go ahead and provide a hit buff to a unit. and then Inviolable Resolve to do all of the shenanigans with Inviolable Resolve, and she gets to cast this whole spell rack for free on her feat turn, which is just so good. She is utterly amazing. No notes on Sabrith. Very excited to see what people do with her. Reavers. All of the Reavers have gained Last Word, and the commanders have gained Last Word as well. The Strike Reavers are going to go up to ARM 16 from 15, and they're going to have their cost reduced from 8 to 7. So Strike Reavers take a couple of buffs here. I think it'll help getting them on the table a bit more. They still have CRA, which is a pretty rare ability these days. So it does give them quite a bit of utility on a POW 12. So they got a hand cannon that they can combine arms with, or combine rage attack with, which is pretty great. You've got the Assault Reavers. The Assault Reavers have lost prey, again in line with all of the changes for lethality. The Harpoon POW has been compensated by getting an increase in POW to 13, and the Spear's POW has gone up to 12. So, again, reducing the ability to hit, but keeping the general damage of this unit about the same in terms of when it actually hits, what it will be able to do. The Reaver Commander has had its mat reduced to 6 and its rat reduced to 5. No other changes. And the Reaver Standard Bearer goes down a cost from cost 2 to cost 1 because of the loss of inspiration, again, in line with the global changes. All right, let's talk Brine Bloods. The Southern Creoles are gaining a global trait, which is that all of their non-flying models without amphibious are going to gain amphibious. So the whole army is amphibious. It makes sense. They're pirates. They spend a lot of time in the water. They spend a lot of time around the water. So all of them are now amphibious. Let's talk about Captain Shadowtongue. So Shadowtongue, as we know, has spent a lot of time with Crix, as it states in the article. And because of this, they have decided that he is a pirate of the Caribbean. And as such, he is getting an elite cadre, which is all friendly faction warrior models become undead. So he removes for Brine Bloods one of the worst traits in the entire game, which is being living. And now they're undead. He himself is not undead, but everybody else around him is. For that are part of your friendly faction warrior models. Additionally, he's going to gain the spells Fog of War and Scything Touch. So he fully embraces the Crix job as well. He picks up the Scything Touch. He picks up the Fog of War to help deliver the army a bit with some concealment. The Amphibious also helps with that because of the ability for the Brines to make their own water features on the board. You go ahead and gain concealment while you are amphibious, so in water features. So pretty big ability as well. So Shadowtongue looking incredibly fun as he has all of the time with these additional tools and taking away one of the big issues in the faction as a whole. Ragemonger goes ahead and gets some pretty big changes. He really changes from a full dice manipulation caster that was helping in the ranged game to finding himself as the melee guy. He's the defensive melee guy now. His feat is still going to do all the dice fixing it did before, but it's only now going to apply specifically to melee attacks. So only on the melee attacks are you getting the ones becoming 6s. He is going to gain Starcrossed. he is going to gain Field Marshal Shield Guard and Field Marshal Ravager, which grants Berserk to Beasts. So he gets 2 Field Marshals, which grant Shield Guard and Ravager grants Berserk to Beasts. So really embracing being a melee boss. It does mean everything you were doing with Ragemonger before is not something you're going to be able to do again, because he just doesn't support the range game the way that he does, because they want Fire Quill to be very distinctly in that range space. So they are carving out that particular niche for him, and that is what he is going to do. So it'll be interesting to see where he lands meta-wise. I know the reactions have been very mixed on him since the announcement. For me, the jury is completely out on him. He is a brand new caster, effectively. And it'll be interesting to see what people come up with. Generally, in a faction that doesn't have access to a lot of shield guards, giving all your battle group shield guards is potentially a really good thing. Giving them Berserk can be a very interesting thing, particularly with a feat that lets you go absolutely ham bananas all of the time in melee now. But he is a very different beast. He is going to be very focus strapped, which is the biggest concern with him. So those are a bit of the things to be thinking about as we continue on in our journey of figuring out how these guys are going to end up. So onwards to Dark Ops. So Dark Ops gets a couple of little updates here. Xiphus has been reduced to cost 3. He is losing Veteran Leader again in line with the war on Mat and Rat, known as the Lethality Update. The Criterions are getting an increase to cost 9, and they're getting their Mat reduced to cost 6. Or they're getting their Mat reduced to 6. Nestilla and Aberration, a couple of small changes for them. Nestilla is going to have her spray reduced from 12 to spray 10. She is getting all of her all of her melee, ranged, and at stats reduced by 1. She is losing Awe, so no more Awe, and she is going to have a way to grant aggressive to Aberration, so Aberration will be able to charge for free. Aberration is getting a rat reduction to Rat 4. He is still going to have all of his ability to do his hormone dumps, to bump those numbers up because they're rookie numbers. And then the dominated units for Winter Core and Stormblades are being reduced to cost 7. Ravengers are being reduced to cost 8. And all of them are having their Mat and Rats reduced by 1. However, they are going to have inspiration available to them through the Dominator UA. All right, Convergence of Cirrus. Couple of things. Several models, including Aura, Locke, and Prime Nemo, are moving to Legacy from the Prime Arena. On Locke in particular, Locke will still be fully available in Crucible Guard. This is just a change specific to Convergence of Cirrus. The Optifex Directive is gaining in power. As a result, they are going to cost 4. So Induction is an amazing mechanic. It provides a lot of utility and a lot of efficiency. However, having the caster be the start of the chain is not what they want to do anymore. Hence why the Optifex directive is being granted the ability to empower. This should help Convergence compete more specifically and easily. The Fustrum Locus is now gaining Chandler, and that is going to replace Void Generator. And again, on Aurora, the general change to Arcane Propulsion also holds true. So she's going to be able to target huge base vectors as well, which is pretty fantastic for our friends on the Convergence. And that is all of our spoilers. So what does it all mean? What does it all mean? What are we driving towards? What are they doing in this update? Well, a couple of things. Lethality is a very interesting term that they're utilizing, and I think it buries the lead. The changes in the way that the math sort of work is that we're really looking at reductions in hitting. They want to force more misses. They don't want you to do less damage. They want you to do less damage because you're going to hit less often. That's really the rub. That's really the sauce of the update. So they're doing a lot of things to make it generally less efficient, so that it is not a guarantee that a unit wipes out another unit. It is not a guarantee that when you attack something, it dies. There are more chances for the dice to have a say in the game. And I think that general philosophy you can really feel in some of the other spots. When you look at the concept of magic resistance, what is that doing? Well, that's giving dice to have a chance to have an additional say in the game, because you're not outright denying the ability to do magic. You are impeding it by creating additional outcomes that are failure points, because you're forcing that additional die and you're forcing them to choose the lower value. We're removing a lot of the veteran leader. Again, we're reducing that mat and rat. We're limiting the spots where we can boost that up. We want those boosts to have a cost in terms of, it costs the spell. It costs bringing some additional pieces in. The certainty is being actively and very strategically removed from the game. And I think that is really going to pay dividends for the game this year, in terms of the excitement that you're going to be able to have during a game, in terms of having that push and pull back and forth grind that, hey Zeke, how you doing, that we haven't seen in quite a long time. So I'm very excited for what the quote-unquote lethality update provides. And really, as we're talking about it here, it really, from a math perspective, is just an increased failure rate, increased chance at failure. If it was a true lethality update, in the truest sense of it, I think you'd see more and more POWs come down. That's not been the case. Generally, POWs have stayed the same, or they have been adjusted for and adjusted up because of the loss of another ability, such as the loss of prey, or the loss of gang changing from a mechanic that boosted, or it added both hitting power and damage power, to just being something that adds damaging power. So again, they want dice to be a real factor in the game, and I appreciate that. Again, you see it again with Ragemonger picking up Star-Crossed. Again, adding more points where the dice can help tell the story, where the dice provide an instrument for failure. And that, again, I think is going to pay a lot of dividends, because one of the things that was so attractive to this game when I first came into it in Mark II is all of the points of failure and the requirement for aggression. The range reductions that we're seeing, particularly on sprays and on some ranged attacks and some range mechanics, again, allow you to get that initial maneuver, be aggressive, get to the point, and start attacking. Without the certainty that as soon as you attack, you're going to wipe something out. I really appreciate that. I think they want to add more control to the game. A couple of things that lead me to believe this. You see Baronova increasing her range of her control to 16 from 14. This allows her to assert more control within the game. We have had very limited control casters so far for this edition. I think they really want to start pushing control casters. You see again with Moraine. You see Moraine gaining Resourceful. You see Moraine gaining Mirage. You know, all these things that help put pressure on the opposing casters, or on the opposing casters, the opposing battle force. She gains Pursuit. She is gaining a lot of tools that allow for greater control. You know, so I think control is definitely a theme. Kane is just going to be fun and insane. So yeah, Kane, as we talked about, he gets to be a very active caster again. I think so. I think you're right on that, Zeke. The Baronova change will cause some issues meta-wise and meta-wide. It'll be interesting to see how folks are able to overcome what she's doing, if they're able to overcome it, and it'd be one of those that, if there was to be a mid-year change, that may be something that gets hit. But who knows? I want to see how it plays out on the table a bit more once everything is out and revealed. But yeah, it is a point of concern. I do think that Winter Core is going to be very, very strong with all of the changes that they've received that have been publicly aware. Yeah, they're safe and they're safe. The biggest issue is going to be how it interacts with scenario. And again, with us only knowing that there's going to be, you know, more flags, there's going to be more 40s. There's going to be that the caster and solos can control a flag or a terrain objective singularly. You know, those are the bits that we have, and yeah, she's going to be real good. She's going to be real good. But I do like seeing control back in the game. I know other people don't, but I would like to see how it changes the landscape a bit. Because we've had a lot of different casters thus far. I know folks were having a lot of issues with Shyrus for the last few years, and that is a feat that is very strong. Has been tweaked, and now you got Baronova getting tuned up with her feat, which was already strong. Now going to, most armies are not going to be able to touch her. Yeah, there's got to be push and pull on the mechanics always. So we'll see how she goes. Seraphel looking fantastic, as we talked about earlier. Sanguine Fate, again, goes back to the concept of letting the dice be more involved in the game, where you're rolling that additional die or extra die that allows you to see if it matches. If it matches one of the other two dice or other dice involved in the roll, it becomes a critical hit. Really, really solid. Good stuff. Force Blast, tons of fun. And again, Blade Storm getting a little bit of range reduction. So I'm very excited for the update as a whole. I'm interested to see what else comes out from it. Please check out all of the other casts that have done all of their spoilers. Check out the articles if you haven't read them. Really great read. Always look in the trash cord and the various discords for Jamie Perkins to drop some knowledge. It's mostly there for her. It's a weird thing, but I like it on her simply because it gives you the greater chance to do the decap with her spray. So it is just interesting and fluffy, and it would probably be more interesting in other places. But somebody will make it work for them. That I can guarantee. It will be interesting to see how the rest of Legacy or Armies of Legend get treated, rather. The exceedingly light touch on Nistilla and Aberration, very, very interesting to me. Be fun to see how the other big combo units go as we go forward. But yeah, lots to love, lots to think about. Hope you've enjoyed it. We will catch you on the next one. Thank you for joining us. Have a great night.